Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nikki LaRose. If you're new here, I'm a celebrity makeup artist based in Los Angeles, and for today's video, I'm going to be recreating a beautiful makeup look that was done on JLo by the incredible Mary Phillips. This is the makeup look right here. It was done, I believe, for a gala in Capri. If you haven't seen it, I'm surprised because this look has been all over the internet. It's so gorgeous. So let's get right into it. I'm gonna start with a little bit of my foundation. I'm not gonna be doing my face makeup yet, but I'm gonna start with a little bit of this because I'm gonna basically kind of coat around my eye area with my foundation that I plan on using. Just so later on when I do my base, it's going to blend better. You'll see what I mean when I get to it. And for that, I'll be using the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation in shade 7. This is going to look much darker than my complexion, so bear with me. I'm trying to be a little more bronzed like JLo. Taking a damp Tarte beauty sponge, we're gonna get right into it. I'm gonna coat my entire eyelids. And I'm gonna go in with an actual eye base. I'll be using the Sigma Eyeshadow Base Primer in the shade Ignite. It basically looks like a concealer, but it's a eyeshadow base, like a primer. So I'm just gonna coat my eyelids with this. And now blending it out with a Beauty Bay blending brush. And I'm going to just really lightly set my eyelids, like with a very thin layer of the Makeup Forever HD loose powder. Very, very thin, light layer. So for my first step in this makeup look, I'm gonna look at this makeup look one more time. So Mary Phillips is the makeup artist behind so many of her beautiful makeup looks, including this makeup look that is just, it's to die for. It's stunning. It's like over the top glam. And I know that she works closely with Pat McGrath, and when you try to look up like the products that she used for this makeup look, she listed only Pat McGrath colors and products, like the palettes, the blush, the lip, everything. I don't have one thing off that list, to be quite honest. So we're gonna be using completely different products. However, I am potentially going to use the Mothership 5 palette from Pat McGrath. This is like the OG, you know, this is like the most popular Pat McGrath palette, I think, on the market. And the reason why I might use that is because there's a bronze brown in this palette that looks pretty similar to what she has in her crease. So we're gonna play with it. It's not gonna be exact because I don't have these exact products, but we're gonna make it work. And so the first color that I'm going to lay down is actually going to be an eyeshadow crayon. So it's a JOUER cream eyeshadow crayon. This is in the shade Modern, and it's like a dark taupey but bronze brown. So it's not like one of those really warm, like golden caramel kind of browns. It has more of like a cool base to it. So I think it's gonna work well for this look. So long story short, what I'm gonna do is I'm not gonna directly go in with this because I have a smaller eye space than JLo. So what I'm gonna do is map out where this eyeliner is gonna go. And I'm gonna use a pencil brush from that. This is like 219 from MAC. I'm gonna start in the inner corner. You know, I have a different eye shape in general than JLo, so it'll be inspired, it won't be exact. But I do think this color is actually kind of spot on. So the overall eye makeup look itself, if you actually look at it, it's very rounded. Like it's not like cat-eyed, it's not swooped up, it's like very rounded. So it's very different from what I'm used to doing or what you're probably used to seeing me do on my channel. It's gonna look very like Ronald McDonald at first, but it's a really cool look. Obviously, that's why I'm doing it. I think it's really pretty. I was super inspired by this look when I saw it. Okay, before I blend this out too much, I'm gonna go in with that one shade in the Pat McGrath palette. Don't hate me, you guys, for using potentially just one shade out of this extremely expensive palette, but bear with me. I'm trying to match this look. So for that sake, I'm gonna dip into, I really don't know what this color is, but it's the kind of cool tone shimmery brown that I was just talking about. It is Pat McGrath at least, so I'm kind of, you know, in line with what she used. So I'm gonna go over the line that I just created with that shadow. And I'm gonna start to connect the bottom as well. Go back to that original liner. I'm actually just going to directly apply it and then blend it out. It's gonna look rough right now. I'm gonna switch to a smaller blending brush, and I'm actually going to switch up the palette. I'm gonna be using the original Hindash Beautopsy palette. This is an all matte palette, and switching to a much smaller blending brush. This one's from BK Beauty. It's the A502 brush. You can see it's like a really small, like more detailed blending brush, which is perfect for when I want more control over my blending. So I'm gonna dip into Feel Real. It's two different colors, you can see. One's gonna be like a cool tone gray, one's gonna be more of a cool tone brown. I'm gonna dip kind of in the center of this and start to create more of a smoky effect in my crease. And now for the base of my eyelid, I'm gonna go for one of my old favorites. This is the shade Undertone from Chanel. It's a cream eyeshadow. I'm gonna spritz this. These actually dry out incredibly fast, which is very annoying. So I'm going to spritz it with a fixing spray. This is MAC Fix Plus Stay Over Spray, just to kind of re-wet it, revamp it so it's easy to actually apply, because right now it's completely dried out. So to bring it back to life, I'm just going to wet it and grab a 239 from MAC. This is one of my favorite brushes for like packing on a cream eyeshadow. And so this is gonna go on the base where we don't have the rest of the shadow. As you can see, like we left the base bare. And then we're gonna go back to that Hindash palette. I'm gonna flip my brush to the clean side and dip into basically the center of these two colors, tan lines, just to set that cream shadow. Also, it's much lighter, so it's going to brighten that area. Now that is on. I'm gonna use one more color in that Pat McGrath palette. I'm gonna dip into this top shimmery shade in the palette. I'm gonna mainly keep it in the inner corner of my eye, almost like around my tear duct. Okay, that looks about right to me. I'm gonna go back to that JOUER pencil, that crayon, and I'm gonna start to define the crease just a little bit more. I'm just dipping into these bottom shades in the same Hindash palette, using a smaller brush. This one's from Morphe. And I'm going to just really, really lightly add even more depth to the socket, like the crease. Just really lightly carving it out. Okay, so I'm going back to that Pat McGrath shimmery brown that I used earlier. And I'm just building it up until I feel like I have like the right intensity. Same 219 brush from MAC. And now I'm gonna switch to the original blending brush, that smaller blending brush, and just lightly go over the crease. And now we're gonna start our black eyeliner. So she's got top and bottom black eyeliner. Let me look at this one more time. Yeah, she has a lot of eyeliner on. So for that, I'll be using the Makeup Forever Artist Pencil in whatever black. I'm using this because I want a lot of smudge time and play time, and I also want to be a really, really rich pigmented black, and for that reason, this pencil is perfect for that. Let me grab my mirror. Yeah, okay, so this is where it's gonna take a turn for super drama because her eyes are lined with black. And before that dries, I'm gonna go back to that small Morphe brush and that black color in the Hindash palette. I'm gonna smudge it out. Now we're gonna go tackle the top lash line. Same thing, going back to that blending brush. Dip into that black eyeshadow. It's just going to set the top lash line. And I'm making sure that I'm tapering the top lash line eyeliner as I go in. It's not gonna be one fluid line throughout my top lash line. You want it to be tapered. Hers is definitely tapered. Even if hers wasn't, I would definitely taper mine anyway because I have a different eye shape and I don't wanna close up my eye shape and make it look smaller. And if you did the same width of liner all across your top lash line, it would actually make your eyes look pretty small. It would close them up. So by tapering it, you're elongating your eye and you're widening it and you're not closing them. You're not closing the shape up. Back to that JOUER pencil, I'm gonna take a little bit of this pencil, dip into the pencil with my 219 brush and blend out the bottom lash line a little bit more. And just to remind you guys too, like this makeup look that Mary Phillips did, this was a stage, like performing makeup look. This wasn't a red carpet look. Don't get it confused or twisted. Like it's a lot of makeup and it's a lot of makeup for a reason. It is a stage makeup look. Like she performed at a gala with this makeup look. So, you know, it had to translate from, I'm sure, like miles away, basically. Okay, now for a really fun part. I've been looking forward to doing this part of the makeup look. From what it looks like in the photos, you know, like I've mentioned before with other like recreation videos, I can only go based off of what I think I see in these photos. I wasn't there in real time. I don't know every single thing that she used for the makeup look. And also with my makeup collection, I don't have the exact products that she used. So I'm playing it by ear. I'm like trying my best. But I feel like there's like actual chunks of like potentially a glitter on her eyelid. Because in some of the photos, like there's like a not harsh, but like there's a chunky reflective, like super reflective glitter that you see on her eyelid where like the light color is. So for that, I busted out this Dear Dahlia It's a glitter, like a liquid glitter that you kind of paint on. It's in the shade Mystic Daze. This label is so tiny, I can barely read this without glasses. So you can see it's like kind of like a chunky glitter. So I'm going to pop a bunch on my hand. I feel like this is just too liquidy to just actually directly apply to my eyelid. I feel like it would potentially ruin my eye makeup that I just took the time to apply. So what I'm gonna do instead is just swatch a ton of it on my, or some of it on my hand, and then go in and like kind of precisely place it where I want it. So I'm gonna use another 219 from MAC. I'm gonna pick up a little bit of glitter. It's kind of like when you get your nails done and they take like a clean little wand and they pick up little pieces of glitter. If you ever get like glitter nails, this is what they do. So I'm going to pop a couple like chunks basically where I want them. This glitter is really pretty. I wish I had more reasons and occasions to like pull this out of my makeup kit and apply it. It's actually like sick. It's so pretty. I feel like this was a really good method to use it this way and not just directly apply, because the liquid that's holding the glitter in the product, it's drying up on my hand, and then what's left is just like the glitter chunks. And I feel like if I just directly apply this to my eyelid, it would have broken up all that powder eyeshadow because it's liquid. So now let's go in with one coat of mascara. I'm going to be using the YSL Lash Clash mascara. I'm trying to be good about, I have so many mascaras, and I have so many mascaras that I'm currently using and trying and loving, but I'm really trying to use up one entire mascara. So if you see me use the same mascara in either on Instagram or TikTok, whatever, on YouTube, it's for that reason. It's not because I only have one mascara. I'm trying to go through one and like properly use it and not be wasteful before it goes bad. So I know I've used this 1,000 times, but that's one of the reasons why. The mascara application for this look really doesn't matter too much because I'm going to go in with false lashes, and that's going to cover up, you know, whatever I just did. But I still like one base of mascara for my fake eyelashes to lay on top of and like have as a shelf. So that's why I'm using a mascara first. While that dries, we're going to go in with more of our foundation. Same one I was using earlier. It's the Charlotte Tilbury Beautiful Skin Foundation. I'm gonna dip into it with a e.l.f. Cosmetics Complexion Duo brush. I love this brush. And as you could probably guess, I already put my skincare on before I did this makeup look, just to save a little bit on time. I do not have a primer. I get asked about primer a lot. I use primer on occasion. I'm not using primer for this look. I just don't feel like it's necessary. And I don't want the extra layer on my skin. Now, if I was actually JLo and I was performing in this makeup look, you bet I would be putting a primer on just to make sure that it's locked down the best of its ability. I'm going to wipe off my lip balm that I had on. I'm going to go over my lips with my whatever's remaining on my foundation brush. And next we're going to contour, and I'm going to contour with probably two products. I'm going to go in with the Eyelashes. It's the Super Yummy Natural Stick Bronzer. Yeah, so this shade is Super Yummy Natural. There's like 3 of these, I believe, but this is one of like the, I think it's like the medium shade. So I'm going to go in with this as my like more intense contour and bronze, and I'll be using a Morphe E48 brush. If you have this product, just words of wisdom, don't directly apply it, don't swipe it. It's really waxy and it will tear up your makeup that's underneath. So if you have foundation on first and you go to like swipe it on like you see on social media, it's going to tear your makeup up. But if you apply it like this by dipping your brush into it, way better. Shade the very top of my forehead primarily. And I might just use this actually. I might not do 2 cream bronzers I thought I was going to, but I don't know if we need to go there. So starting in my hairline, basically, and then kind of blending it down. It's okay if I go a little too far down. I'm going to highlight with some concealer in a moment anyway, so if you accidentally go too far down at home, if you're recreating this look, don't worry. There's easy ways to fix that. Okay, so let's do the cheeks. I'm not gonna go lower than right here of my cheeks. I'm gonna try to give myself a like sculpt up. But one thing about JLo's contour that I noticed, it usually does kind of cross towards your smile lines. So normally for me, if I was just doing it on myself, I would stop it to like right here. I wouldn't go anywhere past or further onto my cheek, but from what I noticed, hers is usually pretty cut across. So I'm gonna try to copy that as best we can, but without going too low. And then with whatever's left over on my brush, I'm gonna lightly sculpt under my jaw. And then we're gonna switch our brush to something much smaller. This is a BK Beauty 205 brush. This has a little bit of an angle to it. It's also a little more fluffy, but still kind of flat. This is a great brush to contour your nose with. So we're gonna do just that. I'm gonna dip into that same bronzer / contour because we're using it for both reasons. And I should point out the reason why you can get away with using a color like this to both bronze and contour is if you see it on my skin, it has more of like an olive base to it. It doesn't have like an orange or red base to it, which would make it really only strictly should be used for a bronzing purpose. But since it has more of like that natural like skin tone to it, like has like a little bit of olive pigmentation to it, it does make for a decent contour as well. So I'm able to use it for multi-purposes basically. And I'm gonna switch my brush one more time. And this is an M149 brush from Morphe. Same product. We're gonna contour a lip. JLo does not have like that defined Cupid's bow. Her Cupid's bow is always filled in with a lip liner or contour product or some kind of shading or shadowing. That's like always been her thing. I'm going to let the contour on my nose kind of hang out and do its thing before I blend it out. So before I do that, I'm going to start concealing. So for that, I'm gonna use a little bit of the Tarte Shape Tape in Medium Honey and just apply this directly under my eye. I'm not gonna be highlighting with this color in particular. You'll see what I'm gonna use for that in a second, but I'm gonna do a little bit under my nose too. Just where that foundation didn't quite give me enough coverage. I like that foundation, but it does not stick to my nose at all. And I've talked about this before, like some foundations just will not stick to my nose. They'll stick anywhere else but not to my nose, and that's one of the foundations that will not stick to my nose ever. So I'm gonna go in with more concealer in that spot for that reason, because I need more coverage around my nose. And then using a BK Beauty brush just to tap that color in. And then lightly blend it out. Now I'm going to switch to my highlighting shade, and I'll be using the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Concealer in 32. This is much brighter than my skin, like much, much brighter. So I'm gonna use this to lightly highlight the areas that I wanna highlight. So we're gonna start in the center of our forehead between the brows. I'm gonna lightly go down the bridge of my nose. I'm gonna hit the top of my chin. So it's gonna look crazy for quite a few minutes. This is a very wet, like very liquidy, I look crazy, formula. I wanna keep the control of it. So before I go in and just blend it out right away where it's still really wet and loose and it's going to disperse all over my face when I go to blend it, I'm going to let it dry down for quite a bit. Okay, so while my concealer dries down just a touch, I'm gonna move on to eyelashes. I can't tell what kind of lashes Mary Phillips used on JLo. I would go out on a limb and guess that they're not individuals because they're pretty dramatic. Like they're full lashes. Maybe they are, I don't know. But I love these. If I'm gonna do a strip lash, which I'm going to do for this look, these are like one of my favorite of all time strip lashes. These are the Ardell Naked Lashes in the style 421. So I have, just to show you, this is like what I'm gonna use. I have an open pack that I've, with other lashes attached to it. I'm gonna be using this, but that's what the pack looks like. I'm gonna start to trim them because I'm not gonna just go on with this full lash. There's no way. So I'm gonna dip into my Duo Lash Glue. I use this one all the time. It's gonna be hard to see. Place the outer end first. And then I have these little like eyelash applying tweezers. They're from Moxie Lash. The brand sent me these a long time ago when I was using or trying out their magnetic lashes. And I've kept it because it's such a good tool. So now I'm gonna place this in the center. Time for the inner corner. Same thing, I'm gonna trim my other lash. While that's drying down, we're gonna go back to our concealer. I'm gonna start to blend it out. Grab my beauty sponge that I used earlier for my eye base and start to tap the rest in. Okay, now I'm gonna start the setting this base process. I'm going to use the Onesize translucent powder. I love this powder. And I'm also going to bake with this powder. And using this powder puff, this one's from Makeup Forever. I'm gonna start with a more light layer to actually set my highlighted areas, including my under eye. And then I'm gonna go in after that immediately and start the baking process. So this is gonna be that first layer. And just to remind you guys, in case you missed that part where I mentioned this is a performance makeup look, like this is a stage makeup look. In case you forgot that and you're thinking that is a ton of makeup and powder, you know, there's a reason for it. This is not your everyday makeup look, clearly. Look at our chin. JLo is very bright and very light in this region of her face. You know, she's definitely not following the new way of applying under eye concealer, which is just doing a little dot here and then a dot here. Like, no, she is going full on, full down, and then the outer like perimeter of her face is where she's more bronzed and has her blush and stuff. So a little more old school, I guess is my point of bringing that up. But so now we're gonna start to bake. So first thing we're gonna bake is right here. And, you know, just to remind you guys, in case you don't know the purpose of this, like this is to not only set the areas that I highlighted in my face, it's also going to enhance even more because you're laying down a major deposit of light powder. More pigment is going to remain on your face. So when you're baking with this powder, it's going to brighten the areas that you highlighted. It's a great powder for both purposes. Now I'm going to switch to a small brush. This is a BK Beauty A505 brush. I'm going to dip into the remainder of my loose powder. I'm going to bake the very center of our nose. I'm going to powder down my lips one more time with whatever is left over my powder puff. Reason for that is that's going to give me like insane longevity. So now that our skin is pretty much set, I'm going to set our contoured areas with the NARS Laguna bronzer. This is a matte bronzer. This just gives me like JLo vibes always. So I'm going to use a Morphe brush. This one's from a holiday set, but it's just a fluffy angle brush. Any brush like this will do. And I'm going to dip into that Laguna bronzer and then set my contour and bronzed areas. So along the top of my forehead, trying to be very careful not to get the center where I have my highlighted area of my forehead. Just really lightly on the cheek. And then lightly on the jawline. Switch my brush, start to set my contour. It's not completely blended out yet, so don't be alarmed by the way it looks. Now, before I go into my blush, I'm going to highlight with let's highlight with this. I'm debating between two different highlighters. This is the Hourglass, it's the Ambient Lighting Volume 2 palette. And then I'm gonna use a really small blending brush. This one's from Cara Beauty. It's a K32 brush. I'm going to dip into these two right here. So that's gonna be like my first round of highlighting. Then I'm gonna go on with a more intense highlighter in just a second. But before I do, I'm gonna start to dust off the baking powder on my nose and along the side of my nose. And then dip into the more intense highlighter, aka the mirror I've been holding this entire time. This is from Peau. It's the Luminizing Face Enhancer in 202 Golden Galaxy. I have not used this yet. I've only swatched it on my hand, and I'm so excited to use this. I can't even tell you. So I'm gonna dip in with the same brush. I'm just gonna swirl together all these colors. Ooh, there's a lot of fallout with this. We're gonna hit the top of our cheekbone. Wow. Whoa. This is so... I'm gonna switch to a smaller brush. Actually, much smaller. I'm gonna switch to a way smaller brush. This is from Morphe. I use this all the time. I'm sorry, you guys, don't hate me. This is from Morphe. The label's completely rubbed off, but I've had this for like a decade. I'm gonna try to dip into all the colors and then highlight very specific places of my nose. So I'm gonna highlight the tip of my nose. I feel like JLo always has the cutest little button nose that's always highlighted right on the tip. And then, you know, I'm not gonna highlight my Cupid's bow. Oh, okay, I'll highlight it. I hate highlighting my Cupid's bow. Basically, I'm just gonna graze over it, and then I'm gonna highlight the very top of my chin. This is a really intense highlighter. Wow. And then with whatever's left over, just gonna kind of bring it around there. Now for blush, normally I'm like a cream blush, then set it with powder kind of girl. I'm gonna skip that. I'm just gonna use a powder blush, and it's going to be from the Hindash palette. This is a multi-use palette, so the way he designed it was really cool. It's meant to be obviously eyeshadow colors, right? But you can also highlight and contour with this palette, and use it as blush as well. So I'm going to mix both of these blush tones from the palette, and the reason for that too is I looked up the colors of the blush that Mary Phillips used for that JLomakeup look. Like I said, they're all Pat McGrath. They're colors I don't have, but when I looked up the description of each color, it's what basically summed it up is it's a peachy and a pink collided. So she used two different kinds, two different blushes. One's more of a pink, one's more of a peach. So this is actually gonna be perfect for that. So I'm gonna do the pink first. Using a Real Techniques 400 brush. I love this brush. I'm gonna dip into Boy Wonder. I'm gonna get both these shades. Let me use this brush to blend off the baking powder that I placed earlier to enhance my contour. And then I'm going to dip just a little bit into Love Kills, but more like the love side. I'm going to switch to a 116 brush from MAC. It's like a small blush brush. I'm gonna dip back into those two blush shades and do a little more blush. So we're gonna go old school. We're gonna go old school MAC and use Spice Lip Liner. I love this pencil. I've used this for like forever. This is a great, like This is a great JLo type lip liner. We're gonna overdraw the crap out of our lips because that's kind of the look. For lipstick, I'm gonna use one of my current favorite nudes. I love this one from Rena Beauty. This is the shade Stripped from the Delilah lip kit. I'm just gonna blend my lip a little bit more. I'm gonna use another Rena Beauty. This is actually the gloss that comes with that lipstick that I just used. It's the Pretty Please gloss, and this has more of a pink shimmer to it. One more thing before I wrap this up. I'm gonna go back to my NARS Laguna and a small blending brush from Morphe, because I need to fake it till I make it right now with her cheekbones. There's something about this base that got patchy, and rather than like killing myself over it and ruining this makeup trying to fix it, we're just gonna move on. Otherwise this video will be 2 hours long. But my hair's got kind of patchy. To wrap this video up, I'm going to set my makeup with the MAC Fix Plus Stay Over spray. Let that soak in. I'm gonna go fix my hair really quick and I'll be right back. So here is the finished Glam. I know this was a long one. It was a lot of steps. It was a JLo inspired makeup look, so how could it be like quick and simple? I mean, the reality is it's going to be a lot of steps and it's gonna be a lot of makeup, but this is the inspiration pic one more time. I will have it up on the screen for you guys to reference. Again, this was done by the incredible Mary Phillips, who is just an amazing makeup artist. She's phenomenal. But yeah, this wraps it up. I hope you guys like this celebrity-inspired makeup look. If you have any suggestions for me on future celebrity-inspired makeup looks that you'd like to see me do on my channel, make sure you leave them in the comments below so I see them. Also, if you like this tutorial, give it a big thumbs up. It really helps my channel. Don't forget to subscribe. I'm also on Instagram. I'm at Makeup by Nicola Rose, and TikTok, where you can catch me doing other makeup tutorials there as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.